Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into another episode. Your boy. No, can't hear me.
Your mic.
Can't hear me. What about it?
Now it
Now,
works.
Ugh. Like I said, thank you
Technical
once again for
difficulties on a
tuning
live show, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah.
All right, well, let's get to what we always do. I am your man, K Marvel.
what's going on, y'all? It's your boy QS.
It's me, the big stretch, and my mic works.
And Striker Dragoon, I'm here as always.
And you already know, we are the Four Corners of Commentary.
And our mics work.
Listen, man, my mic works too. Shut up.
Now it works.
Whatever, man. So on today's episode, we're just talking about some current events that's been going on within the last week and a half, a tiny bit over that. There's just been a lot. So, gentlemen, I'm handing the reins off to y'all.
All right, so I'll take the reins for a little bit. On a wrestling side of things, we just had two very interesting, very I guess you can say thought-provoking in a sense interviews of Lena Fanene, which is formerly known as Nia Jax.
Yep.
And we have Patrick Clark, formerly known as the Velveteen Dream. Both of them were speaking on, their time in the industry, a lot of the backstage rumors that may have been circling around, their departures and, some controversies that they were a part of. And on a lighter note, I'd say the Lena situation is a bit on the lighter side. Patrick's situation, leans a little more to the darker end of things because of how his situation ended up.
Mm-hmm. Heavy.
So, for anybody that did listen to it, it is the Lena Fanene episode of Oral Sessions with Renee Paquette. If not, it's the Sessions. I think she had renamed it the Sessions instead. So you can find it on Spotify or any streaming listening services.
Change
I think
the name,
video.
Giving Max Caster too much ammo.
Make it less dirty.
Definitely gave him enough ammo to change the name, right?
Bunch of people in the hood who would have heard that. Oral Sessions.
Yes, so it is I forget the name, I forget the number of the episode. Hold on. Just in case anybody's, that much of a stickler. I have it right in front of me. Episode 106. If you want to see the video, I think it's on YouTube. If it's not up yet, it may be eventually. But basically, Renee, if you don't know, does a lot of interview sessions with people all over the sports world, not only wrestling, and even, just people in lifestyles, just different lifestyles that she finds interesting that she has on her show. So this episode, she had Lena Fanene, which we all know as Nia Jax, in ring from WWE. And she spoke about, how her life is, after wrestling, her departure, which I think is a very pressing issue, but I guess even Nia herself knew that business is business, which she did say. So we'll just dive into that in a short little bit, for a short stint, excuse me. Basically, Nia was fired. She took a mental health break, during the COVID situation because while she wasn't there, while she was away from her surgery, when she came back, she said that she felt the vibe was different. The place was weird and she wasn't necessarily liking what was going on. So she took a step back and she took a mental health break. As for her departure, she was supposed to be gone until the Royal Rumble. And she was fired way before that, even to the point that, the Rumble was missing a lot of people. They needed people to come in and such and such and such. You might have heard, the Inspiration was trying to be called on for the Rumble. And you see all the different types of people they had in the Rumble this year as opposed to WWE talent. And Lena was called, and she said that, you know, they asked her if she could come back for the Rumble, and she instantly said fuck no. She's within her 90 days. She's still gonna get paid, and she said fuck no because she felt disrespected, and you know, for all the things that she was doing with the company and such, I'll get into that as well. She didn't feel comfortable with that and going back. She's felt the best she's ever felt since leaving the place. How do you guys feel about that?
Well, I think good on her. Good on her for you know, taking her mental health seriously and choosing herself first. Good on her for that. The lesson that really needs to be taken from here is we need to like break away from this whole thing with corporate jobs, from whatever we're working for a company and thinking that this company is a family. Like the atmosphere is like, oh, we're a family, like we're all, it's togetherness. Because she had also said that in oral sessions, like, you know, it didn't feel like a camaraderie anymore. It just felt, you know, it felt corporate. You just knew it was a change of the guard. And that's how it usually happens in any of these businesses. It's always going to go, when at first, yeah, it starts as family, it's all family, but at the end of the day, it's business. The business, as the ladder keeps climbing up, a lot of people that you thought was like, you know, felt like a family before you know it, before you even blink, it's getting changed.
Yep.
Now it's a whole different atmosphere. And you know, I get it. You know, it doesn't feel the same for her, for what she remembered the company as it was before when she started, and she was continuously working for it, showing loyalty to. It just didn't feel the same. It's not, and it's just as she felt, it wasn't best. It wasn't place for her. It wasn't best for her at that moment. She wanted to just take a break. Is it fucked up for her getting fired on basically on her leave of absence? Absolutely. That's some bullshit. That is some bullshit. Like, you can't even take a leave. You, even if you were due to come back and you graciously ask, can I just get a couple more days? Can I get till this time? Boom, Royal Rumble. Let me just take some more time off to the new year. Like, my head is really not in the right space right now. And they honor it. You should still, by integrity, you should still be able to honor that agreement that y'all both had. And at least, like, yo, if you're gonna fire her when she comes back. If she was to come back to the Royal Rumble and you fire her the day after, at least it's like, all right, well, at least you fired me while I was at work. Don't fire me when I'm at home, like chilling, and I'm like trying to get myself to come back to work for y'all.
On your day off, Craig.
Yeah, like come on, this ain't Friday. What do y'all think this shit is? But at the same time, but you know, that's a lesson for not only for. That's a lesson I know she took in, but that's a lesson for anyone across the board. Stop thinking that these jobs are really your family. They're not your family. These jobs don't care. None of these corporations, they don't care. Like yo, if the list comes out and it says like, all right, we got to make these cuts, no matter how much loyalty and how much service you give to a company, they're gonna let you go.
All these companies care about is their bottom dollar. Correct.
No, of course, the money, because the money's gonna be made regardless.
Exactly, as we spoke about in chat today,
as we've seen,
1.5 billion.
Yeah, WWE just recently released their fourth quarter financial estimates, financial figures. So for the entire year, they made over $1 billion in revenue. So and it's like anybody can be replaced. A cog in the machine. You know, corporations do not care about people, ladies and gentlemen.
Nope. They just care about the money.
Not at all.
Their financial bottom line is the only thing that matters to them. That's how it is. That's how it probably will always be in the capitalistic society.
Right.
Any word on it, Stretch? Any word on it, K Marvel? Anything towards the situation?
Well, I mean,
go ahead, Stretch.
Just very quickly. You know, I two things that I noted. One, she did say business is business. So she's fully aware of what we just said. Number one.
When she got fired, yes, she said business is business. She said things changed and
got fired. That's how contracts unfortunately work. Drafter of the contract in this case does have the power to terminate it. Right. But yes, but that's the contract that she signed. It's not necessarily the fairest thing in the world, but when you sign a contract, that's how it works, unfortunately.
Yep.
You know. And secondly, you know, I totally, wholeheartedly understand where she's coming from in the sense that, if I'm getting paid for my 90 days, why am I going to risk life and limb coming into a match where I can, number one, probably get hurt? Wrestling is not ballet.
Nope.
It's a very rough and tough game. Something
Right.
could go wrong. She could get hurt. Secondly, if she's still getting paid to do nothing at home, why stop that?
I would not.
Come home.
Perfect. Personally, I always joke with people and say the American dream is making the most amount of money for the least amount of work. And if she's getting paid to stay home, I would continue to do that also. So I don't necessarily hate her position on that.
I guess real quick, number one, just for a heads up, the full episode is not out yet. It's just the 2 clips.
No, the full episode's out. It's on Spotify.
Okay, it's on Spotify. It's not on YouTube. And there you go. Because I just looked. Because I wanted to see for myself. At the end of the day, y'all pretty much hit a lot of it on the head.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily, excuse me. About the famous broken nose situation that made Becky Lynch, that catapulted her into who she is today.
Mm-hmm.
Just the fact that, it was funny how she was describing how everything went down. And she's just saying, that she's a bigger woman. So, everybody thinks that they could hit her a little harder. And she said straight up, like, she could take it. Like, that's not necessarily the issue.
Mm-hmm.
But just the punching at her back. Her and Naomi was in the corner, chopping it up pretty much. And then she just kept getting hit in the back of the head. And when she turned and she threw a punch, she hit Becky, looked at her hands, realized there was blood, and she says she was super apologetic. I can't
Apologetic, right?
Thank you.
Apologetic.
But basically, she said she didn't know who it was that she swung. She just swung, and she turned
Yeah.
back to do what she was doing. She noticed there was blood on her hand. She noticed there was blood on the mat, and she was like, oh my God, what happened? Eventually, she turned and she found that she hit Becky. She thought it was Lana, so she was just kind of like, just throw away. But Renee and her were laughing because Renee was like, "Oh, that's foul," because she's like, if you hit Lana in the face, you're gonna destroy her whole skull or something. Basically, paraphrasing
that her face would like go to the back of her head or something like that.
Right, something of that sort. So
it's okay to hit Lana in that way, but not Becky. Copy.
But I mean, hey, look at it. She looked at her hand. She seen blood. Next night, we get the man. We start getting, Becky shooting to stardom. And who is the perpetrator behind all of this? It is VKM himself.
It's a lot of parallels. I always think about that because it's a lot of parallels with, believe it or not, with Britt Baker in a situation like that. Because we're not used to, especially as wrestling fans, seeing women bleed.
Right.
The image with Becky Lynch with the blood on her face and stuff like that became pretty big during that time period. Like, you saw that image everywhere. If I'm not mistaken, I think they put that on a shirt, did they not?
Yes, they did.
Right. I think even she said they were promoting it like from the night of, continually doing it, and she's like, "What's going on? What's going on?" She's like, she didn't really know what was going on until she actually seen what happened.
Yeah, they made it a much bigger thing than it probably was. Actually, it's probably just a mistake. Again, wrestling is not ballet. Sometimes you get stiffed. I assume. I've never been in a ring before, but I'm pretty sure that mistakes do happen and people do legitimately get hit. But back to the Britt Baker point, you look at the match she had with Thunder Rosa, and there's an image of her bleeding, and she's like hamming it up for the camera. That image is everywhere in AEW. You look at her Titantron in AEW.
Yep.
Images on her Titantron. It's just blood and everything. Like half of the reason why she is a big star now is that match with Thunder Rosa and the implication of women bleeding. I think they tried to capture that lightning in the bottle again with Anna Jay and Tay Conti versus Penelope Ford and the Bunny, but I don't know if it's quite working. But
didn't work.
Be that as it may, the parallel is still there.
Overall, it's still a good match. It just it didn't hit the way they wanted it to. But either way, look, Nia Jax is much happier. So
all that matters.
Lena is much happier. So shout outs to her for understanding her worth and just feeling free. Oh, that was the other thing I did want to mention real quick. It seems that and Renee had said it when Lena had said it, but she said, it seems like every person that she talks to after these releases, they all kind of say the same thing, and that they feel a sense of relief.
Mm.
And I think that should be taken very seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And just like US was saying, if that's how you feel when you're working somewhere, or after you leave somewhere, or once you get let go from somewhere, or whatever the case may be, there's something that you need to check with yourself. Um, saying, do I want to be here? Jobs are everywhere. Like, as much as they seem like there isn't. So, really, really understand, where you are, because, your depression or your mental status could be very extremely altered
Mm-hmm.
in a negative sense because of your workplace. So please keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a pretty good segue into one of our next topics.
And the next topic in the next interview is with it's dishing drama with Dana Wilkley. Yeah, I said it right.
Go for it.
Yeah, we ain't going.
Go
Yeah,
for it.
Because then we'd be all over the place. We gonna stick to how we had it. All right.
No, I'm just explaining so people know where to watch the episode.
No,
or listen to the
not what we were
episode.
getting at.
Right.
Wait, I'm not gonna lie to you.
No, I'm speaking about exactly what's going there. So we're with Velvet Dream, now known as his real name, Patrick Clark. He had an interview with Dana Wilkley, somewhat a relative of his, and one of the people that knows him is one of her relatives. She broke down, his personality, who he was, such and such. And honestly, you would think he was a bad person in a sense of, how some people may have put him off as, but he was definitely genuinely not a bad person at all. So we finally get to the interview, and he seems regular. He seems chill. He doesn't seem angry too much about, what's happening. But he gets on. He speaks about, the industry, because they were asking him questions about, how is his work ethic? What did he have to do backstage? How was the process of, being a wrestler, promos, such and such and such and such. And then we get to the secondary half of the interview, and that is where the Josh Fuller situation pops up. And for anybody that didn't know or who hasn't heard, Patrick Clark was fired from WWE amidst a bunch of allegations that he was, trying to
solicit the attention of a young boy.
Well, there you go.
It was 2020, right? Or was this last year?
It's 2020.
Yeah, 2020.
When we started the podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Right when we started the podcast.
Wow, that's crazy.
So the speaking out era of things and things happening, and majority of these accusations, not against him, but majority of the accusations who happened to these wrestlers were true in a sense. And Patrick got hit, and it wasn't true.
Yeah.
He denied it. He's already said, WWE did their investigation. They found nothing. Come to find out, the podcaster did her research as well. And she said, what the situation was, it was messages that were pasted together from different things and made into a message and made it seem like he sent these things, which is pictures or, conversation that was being had. And, from the conversation he was having with Dana, he simply loved the business. He made a character, and he wanted the character to be Prince-like, and it was his character to what he said. And nobody else, had the idea or knew how to do what he was doing. So a lot of this was him, his character, his promos, stuff like that. He said he didn't need a script. He didn't need any of that. But, he loved the business. He said, it got even to a point, towards the end where, the allegations were starting to come, where he was working with talent, younger talent coming in. He was teaching them the ropes, and he was actually on his way up to being called up to Raw. And amidst all of these things, he had a situation with Rob Schamberger. If you know who that is, that was the guy who was doing teas around that time. Very nice, teas of legends and specific talent in the WWE.
He does like I don't know, they're not oil paintings, but they're kind of
Well,
like
pastel.
Yeah, like pastel arts of the wrestlers and stuff, which is really cool. You check out his work.
Right. So Patrick said that, he had a bit of an altercation with him where Rod wanted him to sign some merch, and I don't know if he was going to sell them and whatnot, but Patrick said I didn't want to sign anything if I didn't know what was happening or what the result of it would be. And apparently Rod and him had an altercation. Rod went to production, and that made it be seen that he was hard to work with. Even down to his time coming up to Raw, he said, during the COVID situation or the early parts of COVID, he said, I'm not comfortable, being that I'm a shy person. I'm not comfortable trying to go and, shake everybody's hands, because he said, I'm going to meet all these people, I have to shake everybody's hands and stuff like that. I'm not too comfortable with that within myself. So it's another reason that they seen him as funny guy. What's up, dude? Seen him as as problematic. But what do you guys think? Hey, what do you guys think of the allegations? Obviously, we had people here who were totally against the allegations and stuck to it, and some people, probably they'll change their minds. A lot of people don't give a shit. But what do you guys think about hearing this from his mouth, that the situation was messed up and it kind of killed his dream of wanting to work with WWE?
I think something else should be mentioned also, that after he said that when after they did their background checks or research or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
that Triple H said he was good, but at the end of the day, it's about the shareholders, and it just wasn't a good look for the WWE as a publicly traded company to keep him with these allegations. That sucks. It's understandable from a business aspect, but it sucks. Excuse me. I mean, at the end of the day, they say the truth shall set you free, and the only thing I can hope is that from here on out, if he's interested in once again coming to the wrestling industry,
Right.
that there won't be any difficult times for him to get back into the ring. I mean that's really just it. At the end of the day, it sucks ass. Like there's really nothing else. I feel like
no way you can.
I mean that's the best way to simplify it, other than going into a whole diatribe about it. Like we already know, it's bullshit. It was crazy. He said his piece back then. We spoke about it. You know what I mean? It was like our third or fourth episode ever. By the way, check that out. Season 1 on YouTube and Spotify and all of your listening and watching products. But whatever. But but if you do go back to our speaking out episode, we said how we felt about it. And, we kept it pushing. And like I said, this is almost 2 years later. And look at what happened. So, the only thing is hopefully he can, like I said, if he's interested in coming back into the wrestling industry, hopefully he can come back on a fresh slate, and he can show out wherever he is.
Yep.
I look at it and say to myself, realistically, there's a lot to unpack here. Number one, he was never charged with anything. In these type of investigations, especially when there's children involved, you can't play with that. Especially, it won't be tolerated in today's era. And I know that there's some fans out there who think that, the WWE would go to lengths to cover this stuff up or whatever have you, and that they have an awesome legal department that would have helped him out. More than likely, all that stuff is probably true. I'm not saying the covering up stuff is true. I'm saying the legal department helping him out probably would be true. However, I think that there's a lot of people out there who hear investigation and think that they are entitled to hear the juicy details of what he might have or may have not been saying to children, and that's never going to fly. That's not how investigations work. You may find out some details or whatever have you, but rarely are those things made public in any way, shape, or form. So cope some more. You're not going to find that stuff out if he was saying stuff to children. Plus, he did clear out an official investigation by the WWE. Now, do I think a third party should have probably been investigating it just to, maybe shut up some people who might have said like, oh, this is probably biased or whatever have you? Sure. But at the end of the day, he was found to do nothing. So, could this have been like a little bit of a setup or whatever have you? It's a possibility. People out there do a lot of stupid things on the internet. It is possible to fake those things. But again, I'm not passing judgment because I don't really know what happened. There's only a couple people who know what truly happened that night, and based on all of the evidence that was found. And probably what was released to the public is not all the evidence that's in this case or whatever have you. So it's a lot to unpack. But the one thing I do want to say is Josh Fuller, I don't necessarily think that he was necessarily using his platform as far as, being a champion for victims. I don't necessarily believe that because there's a lot of victims out there that you could champion. But in this case, he just happened to have a personal problem with the person that he's championing against. Yeah. Not only that, he flat out admitted to not being a victim at all in any way, shape, or form because he said that the Velveteen Dream or Patrick Clark or whatever you want to call him never accosted him in any way, shape, or form. So why exactly is he spouting this or spouting out against this or whatever have you? I don't necessarily buy him having his involvement in this in any way, shape, or form. People were like, he's going on saying, oh, nobody ever interviewed me. I was like, well, you're not a victim in any way, shape, or form. So you have no bearing in this case. So why exactly are you talking? Things like that make me wonder. It's like, people are looking for like, oh, they never interviewed him. They never, it's a lot of things to unpack, and it's a lot of things like as far as like the people that are talking that don't know shit. Us included. Like we don't know the entire details of what the investigation entails. So I'm not going to say anything that clears the guy. I'm not going to say anything that he's innocent, but I'm also not going to cast guilt against the guy. I don't.
They always say there's, there's three sides to a story. Mm-hmm. There's the two involved and
the truth.
Yeah. So, at the end of the day, nobody other than those two people would know the legitimate truth. Real quick, Dark Lordism says, peace, y'all. What's going on?
Peace, brother.
Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. We really appreciate it. Comment, come chat with us.
In regards to this particular situation, I definitely remember I kind of stood 10 toes down into what I said, that I never believed any of these allegations that was going on. I never saw any truth to it. It didn't logically, none of it ever made any sense. And to this day, even now, 2 years later, I still stand by what I said. None of it made any sense. I find it amazing that, and while the speaking out campaign, it definitely shed light on the dark side of what goes on in this industry, of this business, that I clap to, give commending to, but there's a lot, but we have to be able to sit here and be, as wrestling fans, have to admit that sometimes some of us sometimes the accusations that was getting thrown out, we can call a spade and just say that some of the things were wrong. Like we have to be, especially when I find it crazy that with certain wrestlers, yes, those, when their allegations did come out, they were able to show proof that that this is all just words. It was not, none of it was actually true. None of it was real. It was false. And everyone turned a blind eye. Now, even then, when this whole thing was happening with Patrick Clark, and you saw that it was a full investigation done, when you saw he even came out and gave his own private note, of his own words, that none of this was true, that this is all a sham, none of it is actually true. They already did an investigation on him. He said it. And still, everybody was still going on, basically just believing it that it was him. Nobody came to his rescue. Nobody came to his defense.
Right.
Nothing. Everybody just turned a blind eye. Then as soon as you even saw this hashtag Fire Velveteen Dream, that hashtag only came up anytime you saw him on TV. You saw that when they decided to try to, slowly put him into programs. Oh, Fire Velveteen Dream.
That's the other thing you were saying. Yeah.
Like even the shareholders, of course, the shareholders, of course, had to let him go, because had to end up having the hands of end up saying for the company to let him go, because when he was on TV, while they were doing the whole virtual fans, one fan literally actually came up and actually put it on their screen, Fire Velveteen Dream. Like it's to the point that you got to realize is that, yes, when there's smoke, there's fire. But in this case, the IWC really just got it wrong. And they really were just blowing, and they blew it up to the point of no return. And then as soon as now Velveteen Dream got released, no one says anything. Everybody's quiet. It's crickets. You didn't hear nothing about this case anymore after that. Never heard anything ever again. You didn't see it. You didn't see a single, no blogger came up and spoke on it. No wrestling YouTuber spoke on it. No wrestling podcast spoke on Velveteen Dream anymore. It was just like as soon as he got fired, boom, done.
Next victim.
For something as serious as you're sending pics or you're having inappropriate conversations with children, how can you actually sit here and think that, oh, all right, he's fired, well, that's it? Why is it stopping there? This is where I always keep looking at the other wrestling fans, like, yo, y'all got to start using your heads a little bit. Now, so y'all just automatically, as soon as he got fired, now that's it. Patrick Clark has even tried to go into any other business, and the minute he's trying to even get any indie work, he can't even get it, because when fans pick up on it, it's they bring that hashtag back up.
Not only that, but that, like, the fact that fans are just happy that it stops there, like
that's
no police involvement whatsoever.
Nothing.
Not arrested. Like this is the line. Like we're happy that he's not working no more, right? Why is he not behind bars if he's fucking doing this? Like,
right, he's doing this. But then but you know what the truth is like, this is the only thing I can gauge from this is between the situation between himself and Josh Fuller. Josh Fuller, they probably had a falling out. You obviously could just chalk that up. Had a falling out. Josh Fuller went and took whatever these Photoshop pictures, put it together, put it out there. And because how hypersensitive social media is, everybody, it just becomes this witch hunt of a lynch mob, and everyone just jumps on everything. Because I don't mean to, like, and I don't want to try to make this a race thing. I don't want to do that. But these same fans did not have this same energy for the likes of Matt Riddle. You didn't have the same energy for the likes of Will Ospreay or Austin Theory when it was proven false. Y'all still didn't do that. You didn't give them the same energy that y'all giving Patrick Clark. This is where you gotta sit here and be like, yo, what y'all really doing here? Y'all, the fan, it's not, I won't even say Josh Fuller ruined his career. The fans itself ruined this kid's career, and he's a bright young star. He literally could have even been a megastar anywhere he went. No other wrestler that we knew had a character like that. No one ever thought outside the box and let's make a character like Prince.
John Cena specifically called him out and wanted to face him. Like, that's
it worked. It worked. He really could. He could have been something. He could have been big.
Get the artist formerly known as Prince Ikea.
I mean, and
one of my favorite gimmicks in WCW.
I mean, also one of your favorite gimmicks was
not as good as a dream. I will say that.
But I'm pretty sure one of Stretch's favorite gimmicks was Orlando
Let's
Jordan.
Don't do
that.
Like, don't do that.
The caution tape and everything. That was like, let's not do that. You said that was your favorite gear. What are you talking about?
We're not going to
say that was the greatest gear of all time.
We're not going to get on there and lie on this platform.
Bottom line, guys, is like, I really would wish that Patrick Clark was able to give wrestling another chance and come back and take the world by storm. But I would also understand if he would ever not want to even look at wrestling again, because this was a chance that he would have had to take care of his family, be set for life. And and the fans in the business basically turned their backs on him, and that's wrong. Josh Fuller's over here thriving, hitting the overdrive on everybody left and right, while Velveteen Dream Patrick Clark is just sitting at home. That's not fair. It's not. It's just not fair. And it's just like, for someone that's putting out false accusations, I still feel like that should be a felony. Why is it nobody's not giving Josh Fuller any type of hell for this? Nobody. Even after this interviews came out, nobody's going to Josh Fuller's mentions and saying like, so you're not going to explain this and why you actually basically lied on this man. You're not going to explain that. That's
not going to do it.
Stuff like that. I just feel like it's corny, and I feel like just in this sense, just with Velveteen Dream, the IWC got it wrong, and it's okay to just take accountability on that. Like, yo, it's okay to admit it. Y'all got it wrong.
Yeah,
the IWC guys got it wrong on him. He did because he really didn't deserve that, especially when the WWE did an investigation on it. Y'all trying to say, and other fans will go and say, "Oh, but WWE, this is the same company that covered up the whole thing with Jimmy Snuka." Are y'all really sitting here and trying to compare murder to soliciting of children? Like, this is what we're doing. We're literally sitting here comparing it. Where have we gone? Where have we gone? What are y'all doing? Like, just this isn't even funny anymore. Like
equally horrible.
Something is serious. Yes, they took
nothing
it
outweighs
seriously.
the other. They're both terrible things.
Yeah, they're both terrible. It doesn't make it a difference. They did the investigation. They found nothing. They found nothing. Just admit that y'all got it wrong. Like, all right, well, I guess we're wrong. Now some of y'all feel bad. You should feel bad. There's a couple of people that I know I've argued with that were trying to like argue me down with it, and knowing that now that they found out the truth, they're like, damn, I feel bad. You should. Because he didn't deserve that. But I say I wish the best of luck to Patrick Clark. I really wish to see him back in any of these promotions. I really do. Because that boy is a talent. He was a talent. He really could have been the one. Could have been the next one.
Next phase. Yep.
Could have been.
Listen, hopefully, I mean, at the end of the day, hopefully he still can be after this. You know, the only thing you can hope is that, you know,
someone's willing to give him a chance.
Yeah, essentially. You know, so, you know, shouts out to you, man. You know, hopefully everybody who is against you stands corrected. And you know, don't count your eggs before they hatch. So
next up.
All right. Next topic.
I mean,
which one you want to do?
That's it.
I mean, you want to get heavy with it, you can. I mean, might as well. Or you want to end it on a heavy note. I mean, we can't talk about. I would say first off, just give our rest in peace to Chesley Chris. Rest in peace to her. Former Miss America 2019.
Yes.
It was confirmed. Yes, she did pass away. She did pass away from committed suicide. That it was ruled a suicide on Monday. I know for the initial part, you know, our family and friends, they always talking to her as like a strong force of and being able to keep everybody together. And I know a lot of this has caused a bit of like, you know, a bit of uproar on the timeline of just a conversation in regards to mental health, you know. And I know looking at both sides, you know, there's two sides of it. There's one side that will go and say, you know, they always tell you, like, you know, when stuff like this happens, unfortunately, when it happens, it always goes, you know, check on your strong friends, check on your friends. You never know what they're going through, you know, be able to love up on them and everything. And there's the other side that will go and tell you to check that, you know, y'all really don't care about checking on your strong friends. You don't actually care about checking on anyone when it comes to depression at all. Y'all pretend and act like you care one day, and then the next minute you go back to your business. Now, having this conversation with people, it is unfortunate that this had happened, and I think the truth of the matter is I think personally we just do not, as a people, we are not as well equipped to really have this discussion about mental health the way we really want to. We're really not. We really don't have much of the tools. Like, you know, when you say you want to check on your strong friend, you can check on your strong friend. You can. But if you checking on your strong friend and your strong friend is going through a severe depression, severe anxiety, or even they're having suicide ideation or they are suicidal, you have to take into account maybe you really aren't not well equipped to try to help that strong friend. You just don't know how to help them. There's some people that really did in some support groups, they just don't know how to help. They don't know how to help because they don't know what to do in this situation. Because again, not educated enough. And and while it's like it's good to have a support group, it's also in that case, I always say like you need a little bit more of those type of people, the one not that type of people, ones that are dealing with depression, even myself. We need actual like to deal with more professional help. We need like our actual therapy to actually like help keep us grounded.
Mhm.
Our support group is good to have, but to be quite honest, like you can't expect the the way that you want your therapist to help you. You can't expect that from friends. You can't expect that from
Right.
friends or family or loved ones. Um, that's how that's only what I'm just speaking on the conversation of like when they say about checking on your strong friends.
Mhm.
So that way it has to always get to um, until it actually get to this point. A lot of times, like I said, like suicide is usually again, that's the final straw. Is like, if you really you've had enough, you're ready to go, you're just ready to go. There's no turning back from that. That's it.
Right.
A lot of times most of us that are depressed, we don't even like we really are not even trying to actually do it. We really just want the pain to stop. But
Right.
and like I said, like, unfortunately, it just looks like for her, she wanted the pain to stop. But I just think like I think when we have these conversations like that on social media, I just personally feel that when things like this happen, you really are just supposed to turn to your support group first, turn to your loved ones, and like love up on each other, like, and actually like embrace instead of like trying to think like, oh, y'all don't really care about mental health. And it could be a possibility that there's a lot of people that don't care about mental health. It's just it's performative. Some people just they're doing it for clicks, but you can't
Mhm.
expect that all the time from everyone. You also really can't expect that type of support, that type of love and support.
Genuine support. Right.
You can't expect that genuine support from
Yeah.
people you don't know. These are strangers. This is social media. Like you don't know these people from a hole in the wall. Why would you be expecting? Why are you calling out strangers that you don't know personally? They don't know you and you don't know them. You don't know what they if there's somebody support group behind closed doors. I mean, I would like to hear y'all thoughts on it too. Like hear what y'all like got to say about it, like regarding this, on the whole thing about checking on your strong friends and like saying that, oh, y'all don't really care about people checking on your strong friends. I think for me, I think I say if you are the support group for someone who is going through a depression, severe anxiety, suicide ideation, suicidal, bipolarism. If you are dealing with someone if you are someone support group that's dealing with these type of illnesses, these form of mental illnesses, the most I could say is for you as a support group is again just love up on them as much as you can.
Mhm.
Just love up on them and be as genuine as you can. Like, like, and if you know you can't do it, you can't be there for them. If you don't have a solution, that's okay too. You just can't. You can't. You're not. It's okay that you're not able to pour into them. It's okay. It's okay. You just have to like, but then at least try to still don't leave them alone. Just still try to help and like lead them into the direction for them to actually get the help. That's
Right.
all I really got to say on that.
It's about to add on to that point. It's really like actually say, listen, I don't really have many thoughts about this, or I don't have the experience to give you advice right now.
Mhm.
Um, but I'm here. If you need an ear, sometimes all a person needs is someone to listen.
Right.
Um, we've all battled through our own personal demons. Some are worse than others. And sadly, things thing things feel too heavy for some people, and um, at the end of the day, it's frightening. Um, it's it's scary to know that you're not alone, but still feel alone. That is a problem. Um, that's a problem, as in it's actually a lot more common than people think it is. Just be a if you're not gonna be there, don't be there. And straight up, if you really don't give a shit, don't be there because you're not gonna help.
Right.
Um, there needs to be a lot more. There needs to be a lot more. There needs to be a lot more positivity.
Mhm.
Not that this is anything new to anyone, but but even for your friends. I mean, look, I can speak for all four of us when I say outside of seeing us almost every week, we are legitimately there for each other. We have all gone through a lot of things, especially these last number of years, and we have been each other's support system. Not saying we don't have others, but we're literally there for each other, and that is a support system. And literally each one of us, not that we're going to bring it up on the podcast, but each one of us could tell you a story about how the other three were there for them.
Right.
And I've said this before on other podcasts and on this one. This is a true brotherhood, and like I said, we all go through our own things, and sometimes you know we're we're not afraid to say, hey, listen, I need to take a step back. you know um give me a couple days, give me whatever. I'll show up for the podcast. Just give me that space, because sometimes space from your friends is good too. So just staying strong is very difficult at times. It's not an easy thing to stay strong, because if it was easy, everybody would do it. So just remember that there's somebody who is going through the same thing you're going through. You might not know them, they might not be in the same state, they might not be in the same country,
Mhm.
but there is somebody who is going through what you are going through. You are never alone, ever. you know so just if you are gonna, I guess, bottom line is, if you are gonna be there for real, be there 100%.
Genuine is the word. Genuine
Yeah,
is everything.
yeah,
I'll
just
be
be
genuine,
genuine.
bro.
Like, I'm not saying give that person all your time,
No,
because
you
time
don't
is
have to.
valuable, right? You don't. No one is owed anything, but
It's the
it's good
value
to
of the
know that there
presence,
is. It's
not the. It's the value of the presence, not just being there, but the
right,
value of
right.
the presence.
So just rest in peace. It's sad to hear anytime that happens. Um,
Exactly.
yeah,
30, 30. That's young.
It's
30 is
young.
Like I
like,
just turned 30
Don't age
Monday.
with
look,
us.
Like
we
who
all.
wants
I
to
mean,
hear
yeah,
that?
we're all
Like
we're
at
all
this
right
moment.
there.
We're in our 30s or
Like sheesh.
early
I'm
Here,
like the
30s.
while
last.
while y'all
Depressing.
keep going, I'm just gonna click
I'm the
through these
last. I'm the
comments.
last. I'm the last. I didn't even hit 30 yet. I'm the last one to turn 30, and it's just
Right.
like
Yep.
that's just it's so sad. It's like, yo, like that's when life is really about to like begin. That's what they always say. Like life's about to begin for you when you're like hit your
Mhm.
30s. So it's like, who's to say? She was a correspondent even on Extras. It's like, yo, like you, the work
Yeah,
you would think like,
nominated for 2 Emmys.
right?
She's a
Sheesh.
very,
You
very successful woman.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
Her trajectory
You
is
was
only up
her,
from all of
right.
this.
brother.
Like
But once
Go ahead. I don't mean to keep cutting you off. Go ahead, man.
no, I was just all I was just gonna say is like you would. That's what it's like. It's so crazy. It's like you would sit here and think like someone who you would think would have it all, would have everything going for them, and then still, again, this goes to show you, you can have it all, you can have everything going for you, and it's still
It's a very,
depression. Just doesn't
all is
depression
a
doesn't stop anything. It doesn't discriminate
very,
against anyone.
very
It's just-
subjective experience having it all.
right.
I just want to say this, before we move on to the next topic. Her family reported her as a high functioning depressive person.
Yeah.
Being in the mental health field does not matter if you're high functioning, you're low functioning, you are still at risk. If you have, any type of mental, malady or whatever have you. I don't necessarily like using the word illness, but if you have any type of mental malady, whether you're high functioning or low functioning, you are still at risk.
Mm-hmm.
If you do have support systems, please take advantage of them.
Right.
For anybody that's listening to this, anybody that's hearing this, please take advantage of the support system. Also, please seek out professional help, mental help, a therapist of some sort, because those are individuals, even the people who are your support systems will need support as well. Their allostatic load gets heavier hearing other people's problems and stuff like that. And I'm not saying that to say that, put your malady on the back burner and for someone else or whatever have you, but please go to somebody, not only just your support, but somebody who's also been trained to equipped to handle those types of problems. It's not only for your support sake, but more importantly for your sake as well. If you should have some type of problem like that, it's an incredibly sad situation to think of how young that young lady was. Chris, it's absolutely heartbreaking to think that at 30 years old, she chose to end her life, because things were that difficult, And I know I speak on behalf of everybody here, and for her family, our condolences and prayers are with her family. May she rest in peace.
Real quick, I just wanted to do something about the comments. First off, shout out to Earl Cole, he has the show, The Rest
Pearl.
I was on there yesterday. It was solid dude right there. We support you, brother, and thank you for being on. Maddie, Top Rope Squishy, she's sister podcast. Like, she's killing it in the game, the queen of podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
She says she's 40.
Don't see it.
She called us baby.
Surprising to me. Holy
First off, Stryker said it right when he said you do not look 40. That's number one.
Not at
I
all.
told you that before. Number two, I am not a baby. We are 6 years apart. All right. I am not a baby. But there is something she said in the comments that I did want to mention real fast. She said, I posted a pic of me smiling. And I said, that's what depression looks like.
It does.
And I can speak, recently, throughout going through things I was going through, and high functioning depression is real. High functioning stress, stressed out. This is legitimate. This is a real thing, and people need to start taking this shit seriously. Understand that you might be one of those fucking people, and you just don't realize it. And that's really fucking scary, because stress and depression does so much to your body, that people just don't. People refuse to understand it. But yeah, that's what I wanted to say. What's up, Tiff? She said high functioning depression is more common in people.
Definitely. Because a lot of people either don't know it or they just don't want to deal with it. It's very true.
I'm going to say something about Earl really quick.
I was going to say, you 50, dog?
Not only that, I would have never guessed that, number one. It does not look 50 years old.
No.
I would have never guessed that. But we had not a run-in, whatever have you, but a little discussion in the group not too long ago, and he said something that was so refreshing to me. He said, "I respectfully disagree."
Yeah, he says that on the show.
It's so refreshing to hear, like in casual discourse.
Yeah.
We had a conversation about the Royal Rumble, in which we both didn't like it, but we discussed some other things. I was like, it's not the worst pay-per-view they put it on or whatever have you. And it's like, he was like, I respectfully disagree, and I'm like, he laid out his point nice and polite and everything. I laid out mine nice and polite, and we agreed to disagree.
Yep.
Perfect. It's perfect.
Civil discourse.
Right.
Yeah, that was the same thing yesterday when we were talking about it.
Nice.
It was the same thing. Like I agreed with you. Like it wasn't the worst we've seen worse, but he felt like it was the worst, and it's the same thing. We're just gonna, politely say you are incorrect. you know. Um, but real quick, also,
It does.
Maddie said depression can make you physically sick too. It's terrible,
Listen,
you know,
it
and that's what I
does.
was
It
saying
can take, it can
earlier.
take you there. It takes you there.
So, yeah. Why don't we get to the next topic real quick?
I mean,
Touch and go.
it's a touch and go. At the end of the day, it just goes to show that us in America, we clearly don't. We are, as Americans, we are clearly just way too. We are below the curve. We're far
Entitled.
behind when it comes on education aspects. We just, we don't know. We don't have a clear grasp on depression, and then we also clearly don't have a clear grasp of what it has to deal in regards to history. And I guess everyone has seen the comments with Whoopi Goldberg. She was suspended by The View for 2 weeks. By ABC, they suspended her for 2 weeks. I don't know with or without pay. Don't know about that part, but she was suspended for her comments made about the Holocaust, where she went and said that the Holocaust wasn't about race, but it was an inhumanity to man. It's
Right.
and that caused a lot of an uproar because as you know, and especially in this society, at least well in this country, the one thing you don't speak on if when you don't know what you're talking about is you don't give out anti-Semitic views.
Okay.
When it gets to that point, they come knocking on your door. Um, Whoopi Goldberg, she has since apologized. She has been saying that she should have said it was both. I think in most situations, in a situation like this, I think we all are just not privy on like the history of what it when it comes to when it regards to race. I guess some will always say race is just a man-made concept. Like we're all like one species. We're all the same. All of us are equal. There's also others that will say that we're not. It's juggled in the air, but I think one thing that people always get mixed up when it comes to with Jewish people, especially, is that they always try to say why. Well, how is that Jewish saying anything about Jewish people about race when they are not their own separate race? They're white. When it's and it you can partially say that's true until like you realize that there's so many different denominations of the color of white.
Mhm.
It's literally there's the there's Nordic, there's Celtics, there's the Italians. I mean, everybody knows like even
Absolutely.
the Irish. The Irish they definitely were hit with prejudice as well, to the point with that
Mhm.
even here in this country they were hit with so much prejudice that the only thing they could be was either cops, or they either had to work in bars or they had to be cops.
Laborers or
That was the only
Italians
thing.
too. Same
Italians,
thing with
yeah.
Italians. Yeah.
Yeah, like it was real that to that point, to that aspect. Um which it goes, and I mean, I don't want to sit here and say that yes, the Holocaust, yes, it was that bad to the point where it can be labeled as it was racial undertones. It was that bad. It was an ethnic cleansing. It's an ethnic cleansing. That was literally the area, the white Aryans, the Germans. They really had saw themselves as the only label of white. They saw themselves as the only superior race of white.
That's
Any
it.
other
That's
any other
superior.
Black
subcategory,
and wise.
That's
yeah,
it.
and any other subcategory of white was any other denomination of white,
Was
of that
below
white. If you
theirs.
were not a pure blood to
Right.
them, you were inferior race. That it got to the point where yes, it was just as that is just as bad. But I think that falls on the fact that you can't other people aren't going to know like the full history of it. They're not going to know this
Yeah.
because it's not in the history books. It's not.
Right.
It's not in the books. Like the only thing if you go back to what we were taught, you only knew when it came to the Holocaust. You just knew that Germans they were bad. Germans were evil. They were bad. It was World War II. They joined up with Japan and caused Pearl Harbor. We joined back up with other powers, caused the war. We defeated them. We beat German. That's it. They didn't really go into all they didn't go into all the extra details of like what's of the different denominations of what was labeled all the other races, even Native Americans and Asians. We're not getting this full like crash course of history into everything. We didn't get that growing up. All we got was like a regular whitewashed Spark Notes, and that was it. You can't. So it's like I can't really. I'm not gonna fault Whoopi Goldberg for what she said, because what she said was what in most parts what she didn't say was all the way ignorant. It could say it was to a little bit of truth. There was a little bit of truth, but there also was a little bit of misinformation. That's how really just how I took it.
She was not wrong in the sense that it is an atrocity against man, but she was wrong in saying that race had nothing to do.
Right.
Because Aryan, the ideals of what were made policies in Nazi Germany were founded off of ideas of race.
Right.
That's an unequivocated truth. It was founded off of ideas of race. So for her to say that it wasn't a racial issue was wrong. But the difference is this: like, she didn't downplay the horror,
the severity of it,
atrocity, and the severity of the Holocaust. And anybody saying that is grossly incorrect.
She didn't. She did not.
Was she wrong? Absolutely, in the sense that she got that one tidbit of information about this wrong, which kind of distorts the argument a little bit. Right. Is it an atrocity? Like, is it one of man's biggest atrocities? Absolutely. Unequivocally, it is. Like that shouldn't even be questioned. And for anybody downplaying the severity or the body count or what they were doing, like, get a grip. Like, this happened. Right. Like, this is something that happened. And we're not that far removed from it.
But if we're really doing deep dives of it now in I guess in the present time, because it seems like everybody we're seeming to keep revisiting the past.
We're all historians now.
You can, like, if that's what you want to do, you can just chalk it up to the fact that if it's going off whiteness, that white supremacy basically was just prejudice to their own fucking selves, and this is what caused what it was with the Holocaust. This is just what it was. You were prejudiced to yourselves, but it was to the point that it was so bad that yes, you can label this as like, race had something to do with this, because this is just because it's borderline, like the whole thing with Nazism and Aryans. It was just the whole as Shresh said, the whole concept was founded and bred off racism. It's bred off racism and white supremacy. It's just mass genocide, like ethnic cleansing. Yeah, you already knew what it was going down the board, and it's something that we can't overlook. I just felt like instead of a 2-week suspension,
it's a teachable moment.
So I guess to make her take a moment and reflect, why don't we just really call it what it is and just be like, how about we really just teach the truth? Like, teach this whole entire history of it. So that way everybody doesn't get this shit always mixed up, and we don't keep having these same type of conversations. Because we're going to keep having these conversations because everybody doesn't know the history of the Holocaust. They don't know. The majority of the times you're going to know when you finally get to learn the history of the Holocaust is if you just so happen to go to college and you finally get and take a civil ethics course and you go a deep dive. But everybody's not going to be able to do that. Everybody's not going to be able to afford that. Like, that's why I say, like, this is really like this is really America's issue. Like, this is an issue with our country. Like, we have whitewashed so much of our history that we've taken part in so much, good and bad. Bad especially, we've whitewashed it so much that we're only giving bits and pieces when that's just not the truth.
Agree.
What kind?
Which one?
For what Earl said. Would
consider Whoopi better?
No. I wouldn't think Whoopi's not a race baiter. She's if anything, is Whoopi unapologetically black? Absolutely. She's unapologetically black. She loves her people. She loves what she stands on. She stands on her views. She stands 10 toes down on it. And if she knows she's wrong, she gladly comes up and apologizes. And she will apologize, and she'll and she'll take what she says, certain things she says back. So I wouldn't say that she's a race baiter. She's not. I think a lot of times, especially when this whole uproar happened, a lot of people were getting they were trying to compare Whoopi to Megan McCain, and that's where shit really had to
boy.
and that's where we have to we have to reel this all the way back. We have to reel it back, like, all right, hold on now. Like she said something ignorant, but let's not go that far and say like she's like Megan McCain. Like that's not that. It ain't that bad. It ain't like that. Like
it wouldn't be that. She was misinformed. She was apologetic about it.
Yeah, she was apologetic, and I say this: if I know she makes like what I think she makes $96K per episode. I think that's what they said, that she makes $96K per episode of The View.
Even to say that.
If she was that, so it's like, all right, $96K per episode. If it's a 2-week vacation, it's a 2-week vacation. This is what, if it's paid, then shit, she's just not on for 2 weeks. She's still getting paid. But if if she isn't getting paid, that's like, oh, all right,
right.
96K per episode. All right, it's 2 weeks. That is a bag. That's a bag. No, it's a vacation, but it's still a bag that's lost. That's a big bag. If it's unpaid, that's a big.
It's true.
It's money. It's good. A couple of months, couple of figures.
It's like when they put dumb cops on desk duty.
Right. You're on desk duty. You're on desk duty.
All the paperwork that they do.
Yeah, all that paperwork, but you're still getting paid though. So it's just like
shit.
Those paper airplanes don't make themselves.
I feel like I don't know if y'all think the same thing. Like y'all, it is what it is. That's just how I feel about that whole situation regarding like the Holocaust, like the history of the Holocaust. At least we just have to really keep it a buck, and like we should just start teaching the truth about it.
Real
like
history.
We gotta stop. To me, at least, and I don't mean to cut you off. We gotta stop like giving people the truth once they get to college. Like, we really need to start teaching this stuff like in middle school, I think, at least, because it goes to show you like misinformed kids grow up to be misinformed adults. Like,
right.
I learned about, I was fortunate enough to go to schools who did like deep dives on like topics like the Holocaust and slavery and stuff like that. So I know like the atrocities of what these people went through, at the time. And it's absolutely inhumane. Like some of the stuff Nazis were doing to Jewish people, like during the Holocaust, like your skin would crawl if you read some of this stuff. Like, because you can't imagine how, humans could be absolutely so abhorrently evil to one another, but I think that the earlier, well, let me not even say the earlier, once you get to a point where you are at least transitioning to high school, maybe 7th grade, 8th grade, that it's important to teach that stuff, because the more people like buy into like these conspiracy theories from other irreputable, avenues and stuff like that, the more misinformed they become and the more stupid shit circulates out there. So we gotta have to nip this in the bud as early as possible. As early as possible, and where we can, at least get this to a point where people can understand what's going on.
Right. Yeah. And look how things go full circle. We just had that deep dive about Gunther and his history, and now we're here again.
It's just wild. It's like, for like, I like the most part, like some of us only like I only learned about the Holocaust and everything because my class, I think like Striker and I, like, fun fact, Striker and I we went to the same high school, guys. Like we went to the same high school.
We had some really good history teachers.
Like a good history teacher. The first time I learned about the Holocaust is like we saw the fucking looking at the movie The Diary of Anne Frank. I'm just like,
oh god, yeah.
That was
I can't even say like that was like pretty. Honestly, like The Diary of Anne Frank was like PG. It was like PG fucking 13. It was just like, okay, so this is like okay, this is like Holocaust light. We're just sitting here like learning, like we learned about it, but it was just like little bits and pieces. You don't really get to the real like shit of what happened until again you get to college, and that's
a little bit of high school, yeah.
And that's honestly, I think like that's a little bit of trauma porn in itself. Like we shouldn't have to wait till we're almost like 18 being freshmen in college and getting a deep dive of like the horrors of the Holocaust, the horrors of slavery, the horrors of the transatlantic slave trade, what happened to the Native Americans. Like it's just oppression after oppression after oppression, and it's like, yo, like what? You're just sitting here like trying to blink, like what just happened? What is going on here? Like it's like culture shock.
Yeah,
agree.
It wasn't. Definitely was not. But
There we go.
I would say on a lighter note,
Mhm.
this is what I would consider this a positive. I let Stretch and Striker take the reins on this one. Seems like a positive that's going on. It's a big uproar in the NFL. And
But when isn't there an uproar in the
Uproar in the
NFL?
NFL,
at this
right.
point?
there's always an uproar in
There's
the
always
NFL.
something going on.
I will say this to preface the conversation.
Mhm.
Colin Kaepernick walked, so Brian Flores can run in this situation.
That's absolutely true.
He might fly. He just might fly.
He just might. If he's able to prove what he's saying in court, he just might sprout wings and fly. So here's the thing with Brian Flores. Brian Flores, former coach of the Miami Dolphins, is suing the NFL, the Giants organization, and the Denver Broncos for the following. He is alleging that there was discriminatory practices in hiring and continues to be discriminatory practices in hiring in NFL franchises. Mr. Flores was scheduled to interview for the Giants head coaching job when he got a text from New England Patriots legendary coach Bill Belichick, basically congratulating him for getting the job. Only one problem: Bill Belichick thought he was texting Brian Daboll, who is now the coach of the New York Giants, which raised a red flag for Mr. Flores, because why is he texting him when the Giants have not even listed or interviewed him or put out a press release that Daboll got the job? That's the big kicker here. Were the Giants interviewing this man just to pass the Rooney Rule? That's the big question here. And judging from the text, it kind of seems like they were. Also,
hey, Stretch. What's the Rooney Rule?
So the Rooney Rule is a ruling that NFL franchises must interview some candidates of color for major positions, whether that be general managers, team presidents, or head coaches. They must interview someone of color, or in some way, shape, or form, a minority, if there is a vacancy.
However, basically, it's an interview affirmative action type of thing.
Essentially, in a short way of looking at it, yes. Is it telling owners that they have to hire people of color in those positions? No, you cannot tell anybody what or who to hire in any way, shape, or form. That is up to the discretion of the team owner. But it is the NFL's way of trying to make sure that minorities are getting opportunities.
Right.
Now, whether they are getting the opportunities, statistically, they're not. Statistically, they are not getting the same opportunities as their white counterparts. And also, they get fired at a faster clip. Very rarely do you see a minority candidate come into a situation, for example, in which the team is somewhat on track. They're usually put in positions where the team is rebuilding or the team is restructuring in some way, shape, or form. With that said, just to harken back to the Flores case, he is also claiming that the Denver Broncos, when he was interviewing for a job there, the interviewing group, which included John Elway, who I believe is the general manager for the Denver Broncos, also former legendary quarterback for the franchise. He is claiming that their interview group did not take the interview seriously because they showed up disheveled, possibly hungover from the night before, or whatever have you. But the biggest kicker is this. He is alleging that the owner of the the Miami Dolphins, basically incentivized him to lose or to tank games, as it's known. He is claiming that ownership offered him $100,000 per loss during the regular season, which he turned down because he wanted to coach and wanted to win to the best of his ability.
Right.
Nia Jax, another coach of color, former coach of the Cleveland Browns, is alleging in 2014 that he was offered the same incentivized tanking deal, essentially.
Give me that.
Incentivized to lose. Now, whether Flores can prove discrimination in hiring practices with the Giants or whatever have you, tricky. Tricky. I don't have enough expertise, to navigate that type of legal minutia or whatever have you. But
Right.
Bill Belichick is texting the guy before the Giants press release. That's pretty big. Like, that's pretty telling.
It's
I can't.
unprofessional.
It's
Very
unprofessional for the Giants, and the Giants were essentially, if true, again, I don't have the legal knowledge or maneuverability to quite say whether he's guilty or whatever have you. But with that said, that's wasting his time, and that's essentially looks like they're trying to get past this rule. It's like, okay, let's just interview, this.
But why does he? But why does he know? And he's the Patriots coach.
That's another thing.
I mean,
why does he know that? And also whoever's putting contacts in Bill Belichick's phone has to do a better job. That's another big picture from this. But what could really roll is if if it is back at you, Earl. Also, if it's really proven that the Dolphins were incentivizing this man to try to lose games on purpose to get better draft position, the whole league is going to shake up. Heads are going to roll.
Oh yeah.
Number one, that goes against the very integrity of sport. Everybody is out there to try to win in earnest. To have a team owner say, we're going to try to lose on purpose and I'm going to pay you for this, he's probably going to lose his team if true. They're going to get him out of there faster than you can say Donald Sterling. Secondly, they might implement a draft lottery system, meaning that it does not matter how many wins or losses you have in a season. If you qualify to get a top pick, it probably will be a lottery format like the NBA or the NHL for that matter. They probably will not do it based on record anymore if it's found to be true. Also, the implication of an owner saying like, oh, we are going to pay you to lose, that is no different than a crooked referee, a person taking bribes on the field, or any other type of cheating mechanism that can be found within sports.
Or any bribe, period.
That has major implications across the board. And and people are going to question. There are going to be investigations done. Who knows how many other teams have done this over the years?
Shit. Who did this in the past 4 games?
We've always looked at tanking like, tanking is one thing. Does anybody want to admit that teams tank or whatever have you? No, but it happens. We know for a fact that some of these teams, in order to get a prime draft pick or prime draft position, will not put the most competitive team out on the field. We know that.
Right.
But to incentivize it, it's quite another thing. That's the kicker here. To pay somebody to say, you know what, take a dive. That's essentially what's going on.
Anybody got that? Anybody got that? That's the kicker.
What you did there?
I know you did that. I see what you did.
I see it.
Right.
What you did.
But yeah, the implication of paying someone to
Pat McAfee talks
lose.
Hey, that was one from the playbook.
Yeah, that's gonna.
He did
there. I see it. But that's gonna shake up the entire National Football League if true. Wow. I'm personally, given the statistics of minority coaches and the opportunities, or rather lack thereof, of opportunities that they get. I'm hoping the guy hits a home run personally, because I know for a fact,
shake up the whole league.
I can tell you as a Giants fan, we've never had a black head coach in history. So I kind of figured as soon as he interviewed for the job, I wanted him to get it, but he wasn't going to freaking get it. And it pains me to say that as a Giants fan, but they do not have the best track record when it comes to hiring minority coaches. As far as head coaches are concerned, they had one black GM, Jerry Reese, but again, not the best track record when it comes to hiring minorities.
Shout out to Jets.
And for a league that is majority black on the field, there is a lot of implications of race and how race is handled in the NFL. You ever notice when talking about quarterbacks or athletes in the NFL, black athletes are usually praised for their physical attributes. White athletes are usually praised for their mental attributes. They work hard. They're the last person that's in the gym. They're leaders, natural born people on the field and stuff like that. Black athletes are usually, look at the natural athlete, doesn't have to work hard in order to be, a physical marvel or a physical superstar. It's little things like that in the language in which we use scouting and stuff like that, and implications of, race within the NFL, and that happens and that can trickle into coaching as well. People, when people say like, I know in earnest, they mean like, for example, one of the things that I've seen is like, people are people or whatever have you. It's like the all lives matter argument. It's nice in theory. All lives on a fundamental level do matter. Yes, my life, as an American citizen, for example, I would wish matters, but I am not treated the same, as everyone else, and that's
Very
the
true.
case. Does my life matter on the
Yes.
same scale as everyone else when I'm not treated the same as everyone else?
Right.
No.
Right.
At the end of the day, shout outs to Brownsville's own. I mean, he's
Facts.
He's from Brownsville.
Big
Shout out.
facts.
Get your money, black man. I am rooting for you. I really
Phil, stand up.
I do not
This is
care.
America.
I really even if I know it's like boxing with God for you to like really sit here and try to prove this, right? I feel like personally, I feel like Bill Belichick just handed him.
He might have handed him the case.
And if he hands it to him on a silver platter, get your money, get it. Because
that's not good for a lot of people.
I mean, it's not. I mean, of course. I mean, obviously,
and to have Belichick his name in there after Spygate, after all these other things happening, and that's documented history.
This might be the case. This might be the one that puts a nail in the coffin and finally get him out, fire his ass. But
Brady
honestly,
and Belichick in the same year.
But honestly, I mean, and imagine one gets hit with a scandal and the other one just chooses to finally retire.
Exactly. Imagine.
Oh, you can't make this up.
This is Bill's way of just saying, like, Tom retired. If I can't have him, neither can
nobody will.
He just looks at this text and is like, "This is Brian Flores, but I'm gonna pretend that it's Brian. Congratulations on the job, kid."
Because that's what makes it even crazy. It's like, how do you get Brian Flores mixed up with? How do you get the two mixed up like that? It just don't. How you get those two names mixed up beyond me. All right,
you can be calculated coach in history making that small or big of a mistake. I should say.
Yeah, you're making that small. You make that small text message. You probably just didn't think that this guy was actually going to take it a step further and try to sue the entire franchise. You didn't think that he was going. You didn't think he was going to go that far.
They did not learn from Colin, sir.
Come on, man. Come on. But
took one to walk for the rest to run.
Brian, get your goddamn money. If you win, this is going to shake the whole. This really will shake up the entire franchise. It'll shake it up for the better. I mean, obviously, we're still going to watch it. It's just because it's drama. It's fucking enjoyable.
It's a WWE.
It's a WWE. It's WWE on the field. That's all it is. It's WWE on the field.
So it's AEW.
It reminds me of the situation that just happened with John Gruden, because he was let go of as the Raiders coach for inflammatory emails that he sent about people, using various slurs, gay slurs.
Who's that?
Racial language. John Gruden, who was former coach of the
Raiders.
He was let go because of that, and the Raiders kind of dragged their feet with it. The league had to kind of step in, but they were dragging their feet a little bit with the issue and stuff like that. Until they were, parties were forced basically to take action.
Fire him. Yeah.
It's gonna heads are gonna roll. It's gonna be a very interesting couple of years, I think, as far as like NFL and their hiring practices and
I think
drafting and everything. Everything could be affected by this. It really could.
I do think, though. I think if it gets to that point, I don't know if this is gonna get to like a Supreme Court. Like, I don't think it's gonna get that far. But if it does, I really do believe they're probably just gonna. I think they're gonna settle. They'll probably settle.
More likely they have to.
They'll settle with him, maybe for an undisclosed amount, but for the back end, yeah, you are right, Stretch. Heads are going to roll. A lot of people are getting fired. A lot of people are getting replaced. There's going to be a lot of diversity meetings being held for a second. They're going to get all their whichever black employees they have in their circle and just get them all on call and be like, and have that standard. So what can we do
Right, and this is
situation.
And this is not me saying like, the Giants organization is racist or the
No,
league.
not at all. Please don't.
No,
don't
I'm
take
just
that
saying
from it.
like,
it's
I'm
least
saying
we hope
that.
not.
I'm only saying that because I know there's probably like there's a habit of some people when we have conversations like this, and people will be saying like, "Oh, are you calling me racist or something like that?" Like we've had a whole discussion about this, like with the Big Swole thing, like a call for diversity, and a call for attention towards these issues is not a call against somebody else or accusing them of racism in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
Agreed.
One, there's a lot of misinformed motherfuckers out there and people who can't draw conclusions properly that make those points. Number one, that's why I want to clarify. I'm not in any way, shape, or form calling anyone a racist. But you have to, if you truly claim,
I mean, you're not.
right, not that too. But if you truly look, and this is for, now I'm saying this for the people who are like all lives matter and stuff like that. If you truly claim that all lives matter, then why is there not better diversity across the board in the NFL? That's the question that you have to ask yourself. You have to look at the statistics for real. We don't get hired at the same clips. We don't get the same type of opportunities. When we do get opportunities, we have to start at a certain point. We have to build up from the bottom up. That's the type of talk that we're talking about. And why do we get fired at a higher clip also? That's the question you need to ask yourself.
And the crazy part is like, doesn't it sound familiar?
Oh, yeah.
Weren't we literally just talking about this?
Telling you, everything comes full circle in life, brother.
And that's really what it is. It's life. It's corporations. It's it's all of this BS that we have to sadly live through.
Once again,
even on a smaller scale with us and jobs. You know what I mean? It's not everything is geared to us. We are 3/5 in the Constitution. We are considered 3/5 of a human.
Mm-hmm.
That means you get
at one point.
That means you get 2 legs and a thigh, like or in a wing. You know what I'm saying? Like we get 2 thighs in a wing. You feel me? So
we a snack box or crown.
Barely a damn snack box.
Unfortunately, in these corporations, especially these billion-dollar entities, again, we are just a cog in the wheel. You're not.
That's another conversation.
There was never. None of them are any. They always try to say like, oh yeah, they're never a family. Any of these corporations that tell you if you're trying to get that job, and they tell you we're like a family, we want you to be part of our family, run away. That's a red flag.
Yep.
It's not. They're not. It's they. You can. I mean, the money may be fair, but a lot of times they're not looking for your best interest at heart. They don't care.
And they're looking for their bottom dollar. You always got to remember that.
The color they pay attention to is green.
Yep.
Right, but
they don't.
Clear. That does not mean that an individual of power does not give a shit about you. This is talking about a general conglomerate and the typical way that they move. This doesn't have to do with an individual caring about you or wanting what's best for you.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can speak on the fact that I have a manager who, or had a manager who was like, listen, if you're not happy, don't stay. Like, I don't want anybody who's not happy with what they're doing to work for me. Because all it's going to do is be disruptive and be bad, not only for the people you work with, but for yourself. So it just goes to show, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, the big wigs got to think big wig shit, sadly. And then, everybody else got to kind of play the part unless you feel like or are ready to break out. And by break out, I mean leave and actually break out of the show. Wow. Double entendre, damn it.
Well, Brian Flores, you have the 4 quarter monetary support. We stand with you on this.
Rich.
Give them hell.
The Phil got you too, bro.
Eat the rich. It is what it is. Like, just take them for everything they got. If you can, go for it.
So before we close out the show, I just want to say Catalyst Wrestling is raising money for Chris Dickinson's recovery from a broken hip recently that he has. So all they're asking is for you to download an app called Rizzle, Rizzle. Make a video wishing him well with the caption #help Dirty Daddy, and Catalyst Wrestling will donate to his recovery. The app is called Rizzle, Rizzle. Please download, send in your videos. I know he's loving it, and we here at the Four Corners wishes you a very, very, very speedy recovery, brother.
Yes, sir. Hope to see you one day.
Get well.
For sure. By the way, shouts out to Catalyst Wrestling. Don't want to forget that. So this has been one hell of an episode. Heavy with
Informative,
some
to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people feel that way, which is awesome. So, this is what we're here for, folks. This is what we're here for. We'll be back next week, and let's do what we do, gents.
Well, you'll know where to find me. I'll be on Twitter and Instagram. The Twitter is Jador Stretch. The Instagram is Jador Sapio. Before I throw it to the other three gentlemen, I just want to say rest in peace to my cousin Mutt. And my close knit family. Losing a cousin in this case for me is like losing another uncle. We were very close and grew up in very close proximity. My mom, who was full disclosure, in her 50s, was a year younger than my cousin, and they grew up like brothers and sisters. So to lose another cousin, like I mentioned earlier, is like losing another uncle. And I just want to say rest in peace to my cousin. But the suffering that we endure in life, I believe honestly gets eased in death, and I know that you're in a better place. So I love you, and I'm going to miss you. Rest in peace. Next.
Oh God.
Is that too heavy for you guys? Like,
just wanted to give the little piece, a little quiet for a little bit.
Yeah, like that's
Respect,
nice
reprieve.
on that.
Respect.
Okay.
I appreciate the 10 bell salute, gentlemen.
Yes. As you all you can follow Mr. After Hours himself. They're also the spokesperson of the current WWE champion, the Almighty Bobby Lashley.
Oh,
Jesus. Praise.
You can
Praise
follow
the Almighty Bobby Lashley.
As always, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter, Forever Thiefin. Like always, we always send that follow. It's always a vibe, during it's not only on Sundays, it's not on Sundays anymore. It's actually any night that I have time.
Okay.
Ratchet 24/7.
There we
They've
go.
been asking for it.
The Ratchet
With no
Hour
championship.
Yep, the Ratchet Hour happens. Well, not a Ratchet Hour. The Ratchet festivities, it commences. It's fun, all good fun, all joys.
They did a Ray Charles song.
Yeah, not only we sit here, we talk about wrestling and other current events. You also get to take a personal. You get a personal deep dive of watching me commentate on watching strippers beat each other up. It's a fun time.
God-fearing wrestling women. Doing perfect takedowns.
We do have God-fearing wrestling women in these stories.
Just to show you, wrestling is real.
Just to show you all that, in anything with Christ, everything is possible. And like I said, follow us, like, share, subscribe. If you know, don't report. Just don't report. Don't be a hater. Shout out to everybody that even still comes here and even watches the main podcast, but it comes to rock with us on a personal tidbit. Thank you so much,
man.
Just continue sharing the dream. We here for
Ratchet Sundays.
We gotta make a song for that.
That's the exact
We gotta make a song for that too. Well, it is me, Striker Dragoon, back again. Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch, all the same. Appreciate anybody, coming through, commenting, responding, liking tweets, such and such. I'm alive, I'm well. We do this here podcast thing, and we just gonna ride with it.
Also, we're gonna give a quick again. We just passed it because this Sunday was
It's
not
Monday.
her four corners was. Oh, you're right. It was
Monday.
Monday, 31st. You're right. I thought 31st
Oh,
was
word.
Sunday. Yeah.
131.
This past Monday was also Striker's birthday.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yes.
Thank you guys. Thank you to everybody out there in the world.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Brother.
I still expect drinks and whores at my doorstep.
I don't know. I got you with the drinks. I don't know about the horse.
Nope.
Don't know about
Yeah.
that.
Oh, please.
Sick.
We all know what you really do for a living.
Yeah.
Well, he's like what was it? Eric the Red from the I'm the Juggernaut.
No,
Part
no,
time stripper, and I do hair. Like that's QS.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you've
Oh.
never seen the movie Street Smart with Christopher Reeve and Morgan Freeman,
Oh my
that is an
god.
offshoot of the life story of this man. Flash Black, ladies and gentlemen.
Flash Black.
Don't
Before I
listen,
go
he'll make
into-
you pick an eye.
Before I go
I'll
into
leave it
my
at that.
handles, I just want to once again want to thank Earl Cole from the Wrestling Experience. Thank you for commenting, brother. Top Rope Squishy Maddie was going on, and what's up to Tone too? Can't forget the Hubs. What's going on with y'all? Shout out to Tiff for always supporting. We appreciate you, and everybody else who has been a part of this podcast from either its inception or somewhere between then and now. We really appreciate you.
It
You
don't
can
matter
find-
where you started as long as you here.
Word. You can find me, K Marvel, on Instagram and Twitter at Mr. Marvel 87. On Twitch, I am at Mr. Marvel _87. You can find the podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitch at the Council of Commentary, TikTok at Council of Commentary, Twitch at CO Commentary. Yeah, it happens. You can also find us on all your social media outlets, be it YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcasts, Audible, iHeartRadio, and so much more. Just look.
Follow,
Matter of fact,
like,
you can see it right next to Stretch. There's see that purple logo?
that's the
See that
logo.
purple logo over there? Nope, the other way. Yep, there you go. There you go. See that purple logo over there?
There we go.
Nope, it's like all the way over there. All the way over there. All you have to do is look for that logo. You see your boys with the 4 commentary tables around the wrestling ring. We really appreciate y'all. We will be back next week, so be prepared. We got things lined up. As always, we are the 4 corners of commentary. And as always, thank you. Like, share, subscribe, and we out.
We out. Bruce, get in here.
Peace.